Have you ever felt shame? Shame is a quiet enemy that walks behind us like a long dragging shadow, one we don't remember inviting but somehow knows our name. Shame doesn't simply say, you did something wrong. Shame whispers, you are something wrong. To understand how to break that whisper's power, we can look at Jesus, at how he lifted people whose heads were too heavy to raise. One of the most striking moments in Jesus' life is when religious leaders throw a woman in front of him, caught in adultery, trapped in her worst moment. They did not see a human being. They saw a scandal, a sinner, a reason to accuse. Imagine the woman's heart, pounding, exposed, drowning in humiliation. Shame doesn't simply burn your cheeks. It builds a prison around your identity. But Jesus does something unexpected. He kneels. The only person with the right to judge chooses instead to lower himself. It's as though he's telling her, your value is not determined by those standing above you or by the moment that brought you here. He says, I will meet you where you have fallen. When he speaks, his words scatter the crowd like wind-breaking storm clouds. Let the one who is without sin cast the first stone. Suddenly the only voice left is the one that doesn't condemn. This moment shows us that shame loses its power not when we hide, but when God steps into our brokenness and calls us by our true name. Think about your own life for a moment. Let's make this personal. Have you ever laughed at a joke you didn't find funny just to avoid seeming awkward? Have you ever walked into a room and immediately compared yourself to someone else? These are the little masks we wear, small pieces of armor forged from shame. They say, if people really knew me, they'd step back. But Jesus doesn't ask you to wear a mask. He asks you to lift your face. A teenager once shared that in middle school he always sat in the back of the classroom, not because he preferred it, but because he believed he didn't deserve to take up space. One day the teacher asked him a question, and he froze. The class laughed. Shame wrapped around him like chains. Years later someone asked him, why do you always talk so quietly? He answered, I learned a long time ago that my voice didn't matter. Shame isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper that lasts for years. But healing can begin with one person who sees you differently, much like Jesus saw the woman differently. Sometimes that person is a friend, sometimes a mentor, sometimes a stranger. And sometimes it's God himself nudging your heart. You matter, I see you, stand up. Think of shame like a dark hallway. It feels endless, but it's only one part of the house. Jesus doesn't leave you there. He walks through it with you and opens a door into light. Metaphorically, shame is a bruise. Jesus is the hand that heals it. Shame is a lie. Jesus is the voice that rewrites the truth. Shame is the prison. Jesus holds the key. Pause here. What is something you've carried for years? A memory, a mistake, a label someone else gave you, or a feeling you're not enough? Imagine placing it in your hands. Now imagine Jesus standing in front of you, not towering or scolding, but kneeling like he did for the woman. His eyes are kind. He knows exactly what you're holding. And he says, this is not who you are. Jesus shows us that shame is not permanent. A person's lowest moment is not their identity. God meets us in the dirt, not after we clean ourselves up. Compassion, not condemnation, is the path to healing. Through Jesus, shame can be faced, understood, and ultimately transformed. Shame tries to keep your head down. Jesus lifts your chin. Shame says, you are your mistake. Jesus says, you are my beloved. Shame builds walls. Jesus walks through them. So the next time shame whispers, remember Jesus kneeling in the dirt, because the hand that wrote on the ground that day is reaching for you now. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's simply asking you to stand. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, Sight Kids, to keep growing and breaking chains.